I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Colby and Chip and Ghosty chilling out in the cup.
Everybody's been telling us Sabbath Mater.
Oh, okay. That's where it came from then.
Yeah. We're pretty late on this one by our standards.
When did it come out?
3 days ago. I actually got an email about it from one of our connections.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's why I told you, I was like, yo, Behemoth just dropped something.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then like 3 or 4 hours later, everybody was messaging us. So we're late. 1,000 apologies. By the time you're watching this, we'll be out covering more shows like we do. Mm-hmm. And we got some show thingamajiggies to talk to you about. But timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori.
Yeah, we got a pretty cool breakdown of the Mueller testimony, so.
Yep.
I recommend the watch. It's funny.
Oh, speaking of which, check this out. Chris Culp and Rachel Hoover, speaking of where in the world is a village, they're going to the Volby. Actually, I'm pretty sure Behemoth is playing with them right now. They're probably at the Behemoth show as we speak. So while you're looking at this picture,
they're rocking out.
Yeah, they don't live around each other. They're nowhere near each other. They're different coasts,
right.
And I already put that up on Instagram.
I was like really excited to see them because, well, first of all, Rachel's so cute. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, look at how cute she is.
Yeah.
And then I was really excited because obviously you guys were wearing my shirt, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's badass.
So yeah, I was like, this is like awesome. Anyway.
It was pretty cool. So shout out to them. Let's just jump right into it. Sabbath Mater, let's do it.
Okay. And go. Oop. Of course.
What did you say? Of course?
Yeah. Why not? And go.
Interesting. Very interesting. What were your takes?
I was disappointed with this one because I usually really like the sound of Behemoth, but this one was not musically. I wasn't a fan really. It was like my least favorite of all the Behemoth songs I've heard.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Wasn't really a fan of the sound. Lyrically, I mean, you know, he was kind of doing the thing that he usually does, where he like uses this extreme, you know, sexual language, you know, to kind of like shock you and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know who he's singing about, who this woman or this deity is or whatever.
It seems to be like a flip. So there's this concept of like the sacred feminine.
Yep.
So like there's the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. A lot of us are familiar with the sacred masculine. So sacred feminine, and a lot of, you know, I'm putting pagans in quotation here because Christians generally lazily label other non-religious.
They're all pagans.
So the sacred feminine is not just found in paganism. It's found almost across the board. I mean, there are Christian versions of it, obviously. You know, Mary and all the rest of it.
Okay.
So, but in paganism, a lot of times the sacred feminine is connected to female sexuality. So, but it's presented as pure and good, whereas he's kind of using. First of all, the Sabbath Mater is a pretty famous hymn, and I thought it was about Mary Magdalene. It was about like the Stations of the Cross.
Oh.
And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. When I went to St. Andrew's Catholic School, this was one of the big things.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's shout out to the big homie Jeffrey Gilbo, I think. But anyway, I am she who spits out the. See, this is the first time though that he personified himself as a woman. See what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because he says for I am she. I liked in this, like in the lyrics, when they have like the opposites in the same,
right?
You know, like well within, without, but scroll down. It was like at the end where I was like, right here, come to be exalted, come to be despised.
Yeah, that
I like that.
That line was actually pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is Isaiah 52:13 on down to the end of Isaiah 53. Because as Isaiah 52:13, it's like, behold, my servant shall act wisely, he shall be high and lifted up and shall be exalted.
Right.
But then it also says that he was despised in Isaiah 53. So the combination of exaltation and then being despised like happens literally like within one chapter to Jesus in these passages. So that was a very, very, very interesting take, which of course is very interesting when you think about, we just had this conversation actually, when you think about, and I don't know if he's going there, but when you think about female sexuality, is you have the exaltation and then the despising, which we talked about in the trash song, or even in that horror song where it's like, you know, where you're when you're pursuing her and all the rest of it, and you know, female sexuality is very, you know, it's probably the number one, I hate saying it, but the number one tool of selling something. I was driving by, you know, I don't know how to talk about that, but yeah, like female sexuality.
Oh, it's on all the ads.
To sell everything.
Yeah. I see where you're going with that.
So in that sense, it's exalted, but then a consciously sexual woman is despised. So it's kind of like women's sexuality is like only good so long as it serves the purposes of men. But if the woman takes control of her sexuality, then it's bad. And it's bad.
And female sexuality is a powerful thing. So that's why they're putting it on all the ads. You know.
Yeah.
It does draw the attention.
So that was interesting. I am born of sacrilegious uterus. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard the term uterus in a song and thought it was cool. I just feel like there's no way to make that. Well, actually, no. There was that Shai Linne verse.
What do you say?
Stupid kids who persist in foolishness. It's only by God's power you exist. Yet you declare war on the Lord when before you were born He formed you in the uterus.
Oh.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. But I agree.
It's only by God's power you exist, yet you declare war on the Lord when before you were born He formed you in the uterus. That's a big. What do the kids say? Burn, burn, Nergal, burn. Yeah. So but, you know, when he says Magna Picatrix, I forgot what the...
I love it that he puts that. It's Latin, right?
Yeah, there's so many Latin terms for Mary.
Yeah.
You know, or you talk about, like, peccadillo is a sin, so I'm assuming Picatrix here is, like, the mother of sin. See what I'm saying?
Magna? Oh, Magna means mother?
Well, Magna means, like, the ultimate or whatever. You know?
Oh.
So, like, you know, but...
Oh, the ultimate sin?
Yeah,
well,
but
why were you just talking about Mary?
It's in the well, she's called Mediatrix of all graces. Like she's got like 15 million names. So,
yeah, okay. So
I'm sure there's a Catholic designation for Mary that's Magna, you know, Sacralux or something like that, and you know he just flipped it to that. You see what I'm saying?
I see.
I am she who casts the enemies out. I am the spawn of her vulva obsolete. Libera nos blasphema Madonna. Okay, so Libera was probably freedom. Nos blasphema, we blaspheme, and then Madonna is a designation for Mary.
Oh.
So I think he's saying in like, you know, we are free to blaspheme Mary or something like that. Which is again, you know, if you come from Poland, where he comes from. Catholicism is more upfront than just a personal belief. So to blaspheme Mary this is actually a criticism.
It's a way of fighting back.
This is actually a criticism I have for some of my Catholic friends. To blaspheme Mary sometimes is more offensive to them than blaspheming Christ. So for him to do that, that's pretty terrible. My Latin is horrible, but Libera nos blasphemia sounds pretty straightforward. You know, in Liberty we blaspheme in Madonna, and then Hecate or Hecate is one of the goddesses in Greek mythology.
Okay, what was she about?
I don't really think she wasn't that bad. I don't think, but it's just to contrast a pagan goddess with the Christian goddess. Obviously, you know, a Catholic would say that Mary's not a goddess. It, you know, we don't do Latra, we do Dulia.
Right.
I get it. I'm not afraid of Mary. I have a rosary. I love the Blessed Mother, but the Latria Dulia thing doesn't work for me. The two of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I don't really see much distinction between Latria Dulia and Hyperdulia. I don't really see it.
Yeah.
With the sound of trumpets and with the pounding of demon drums, come forth within and come forth without. So like their music is connecting them to these types of energies. You know, we just did at the Bible Bash, like talking about, you know, the clear biblical message that there are other divine beings in the world, in the unseen world, and that I believe that they can be summoned, and you can summon that energy and all that. And I was watching an interview with Nergal one time, and he was talking about how they were trying to ask him if he felt any like spiritual moments in, you know, before, you know, in his shows or whatever. And he kind of talked around it, but he basically said yes in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. And plus, when you were like behind the stage when he was doing his setup thing, they were doing some sort of pre-show ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where like you can be on the line and say that you're a non-theistic Satanist, but at the same time like consort spiritually with that stuff. And even if you say, oh, I don't believe it, but the energy's there. Right? And so it's like you don't necessarily have to identify it as, oh, this is what this is. But I think and of course, you know, you can always just fall back at saying, well, you know, it's socio-psychological. There's 500 people here and everybody's saying the same thing, so obviously it's going to create, sure. But I think, I do believe that he feels a different type of energy than just the crowd when he's up there.
Yeah.
With the roaring thunder.
I would agree with that.
With the roaring thunders, with the blinding lights, come to be exalted, come to be despised. The only thing I saw about that was the voice of the seven thunders in Revelation. And that passage annoys me so bad.
Why?
Because, so John is writing all of this stuff down that he's seeing and he's hearing, and then the seven thunders say something.
Oh, yes.
And then he's told, don't write down what they said, and nobody can know what they said. It's like, are you kidding me right now?
Then why even put that there?
I actually have an idea.
Really?
Yeah, I'll talk to you about it in the car because we'll be here for 4.5 hours.
Really? Oh, I'm very interested.
I am Aurora's son. That's another goddess. Aurora doesn't really get talked about a lot, though. She's kind of like the sun goddess almost.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything overtly sexual about her, but I'm Aurora's son, which she's a goddess of the sunrise. That's a very good.
Sun and sun.
Right. Yeah. I'm Aurora's son. He's a smart lyricist, man.
Yes.
Well, he's smart. I'm Aurora's son with no beginning, with no decline. Sabbath, Mata.
I thought that was interesting because it didn't say beginning and then end. It said decline.
Right. Right, which would basically make you almost an omnipotent being. Sabbath, Mater, Della Rossa.
I think, to me, it was something that was gonna. You have a beginning and you don't have a decline. So to me, it seemed like there's an incline. You're always getting better. But I guess, he didn't say incline, but that's what I got from it.
Well, if he has no decline, then he's basically making the claim that he's self-sustaining. Kind of like the burning bush stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I'm Aurora's son with no beginning, no decline. Sabbath, Mata, Della Rossa. Della Rossa is Via Dolorosa is the way of suffering, which is the route that the Via Dolorosa is the route that Jesus took when. From Pilate's, little
carrying the cross.
I think it's a praetorium all the way down to Golgotha. Mm-hmm. So that's the Via Dolorosa. So Sabbath Mater Dolorosa is like roughly translated would be the rest of the mother along the route of the cross or whatever. Mm-hmm. A progeny of I cannot stand that C word.
I know.
A progeny of her lecherous yada yada yada. Love me orgasmically. Well, that's interesting. He's talking to his mother to do that. If you really think about it, because he's saying I am Aurora's son.
Oh yeah.
And then a product of her, lecherous,
That's
so
really.
Why? Genetrix meritix. That's I'm pretty sure that means mother of harlots, which is the Babylonian. The Babylonian woman, the whore of Babylon.
Yeah.
So in the book of Revelation, there's contrasts. There's the beast versus the lamb. There's the dragon versus God. There's the people of the earth and the people in heaven. And then there's the virgin versus the whore.
Yeah.
So you got all these teams going after each other in Revelation, and you got the mother of harlots. The epitome of abomination, and he says, I pledge my heart to thee, I bow down devotedly. So it's to me, this is kind of like now when he says, love me orgasmically, he may not be talking about Aurora, but it seems to me that that's something that Nergal would do, because it's that's still a sexual taboo. Incest is still a sexual taboo. So it sounds like he'd be like, so?
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
This looks like it has
Genetrix meritix is that's mother of harlots, the origin of harlotry, basically.
Oh, that's
is
the
what that. Yeah. And he's pledging.
I didn't know. I saw. It looks like gene at the front, so it was like genes. Your genetics. So I thought.
Yeah, it's
that's
the same
mother.
Root, it's the same root word, like the genesis, the generator, the generator, basically. But it's that makes it feminine, so he's speaking in a feminine context.
I see.
And then blessed be the destroyer, because she's the creator. And that's it's interesting because I'm studying the Hinduism stuff now. So Shiva is Krishna in the mood of destruction, because you kind of need creation and destruction to happen in the cycles of the life and all the rest of it. So anyway, so Shiva is an emanation of Krishna. And
do they have any duality in their religion?
In Hinduism?
Yeah.
Well, Hinduism is an extremely complex religion, and there's a multitude of. It's not a duality; it's like a quadrilliality.
Oh, okay.
Because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That's the line, at least for the Hare Krishna denomination. And so Krishna is the supreme, but he emanates himself in all these different versions of himself that emphasize one particular thing. So Jagannath emphasizes his mercy and all the rest of it, and then Balaram emphasizes his mode of service. Well, Shiva emphasizes his mode of destruction, and he likes to destroy people.
Wait,
remember that time?
Shiva was the one that guy went to war against, right? Remember you said.
Yeah.
He was like, why would you do this?
Yeah. one of Shiva's devotees came to Shiva and said, "Hey, I want to do jihad against Krishna. You have to follow me." And he's like, "Oh man, it's Krishna." I mean, and then the guy was like, "No, I'm your devotee. You have to follow me." So she was like, "All right, let's go. I'm gonna ride with you." So then Krishna beat the hell out of all of them, and then Shiva goes, "Why are you doing this to me?" And Krishna's like, "What are you talking about?"
Obviously.
Oh, obviously. So anyway, so Shiva sometimes is looked at in the feminine from the.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, no, she always is, isn't it?
No, not all the
Isn't that
time.
bluish character with all the arms?
Well, yeah. But remember, Krishna is the original blue.
Yeah.
Is the original, right?
Yeah.
Well, not really, but like I said, Hinduism is extremely complex. That's why I'm having so much fun with it. But yeah, so creation and the cycles of destruction and creation. I think what he's saying is like those are necessary. Like I think some of his message is like a lot of the things that we look at as bad and as terrible and to be avoided are actually things that we need to make the world go around. So like and I agree and disagree with him. I think that he's, especially when it comes to the sexuality stuff, I think he's overreacting in the sense of there are limitations to sexuality, and there are limitations to freedom, but it's always this age-old conflict between left brain and right brain people, and religious and non-religious people, and it goes over and over again. It's like the balance, striking the balance between you should limit your like I don't think anybody
Thinks you could
with a
have sex
sane
with everybody.
Well, I don't think anybody with a sane mind would say that there should be no limitations on who you can have sex with. Like, stop and think that through rationally. I mean, everybody believes that there are a whole slew of demographics in the human experience where we would say, no, those people should not be having sex, and those people should not be having sex with those people. So everybody believes in some sort of restriction to sexuality. Now the question is, okay, how restrictive should we be? That's the question. And my answer to me is, you should create enough restrictions that create the maximum amount of enjoyment. Because there is nothing in life where if you have it unrestricted that it doesn't end up destroying the pleasure aspect.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, if you have pizza every day, then you're going to end up hating pizza, right? So
takeout.
Right, or sadakt, or takeout, right. So that's one of the paradoxes of living in the world, is that if you enjoy something without restriction, you end up losing the joy of that thing. And creating restrictions around it actually increases your capacity for joy if the restrictions are done properly.
Right.
So, like biblically, for example, a lot of people won't know this, but from the biblical perspective, the restriction is 8 billion people, right? You can't have sex with 8 billion people. You have sex with one person. That's the person you marry, right? So that's the restriction. But then the other restriction is don't be so spiritual that you don't have sex with your partner. So that Paul says the body of the man doesn't belong to himself but to his wife. And a lot of people probably never heard that, but there's a command in scripture, like, and of course, during the Puritan days, people go, stop being so puritanical about sex. In the Puritan days, there were women that went and had their husbands church disciplined because they would not give them their conjugal rights. So
Church disciplined?
Oh yeah. So
I'm sure that generated a lot of romantic feelings between the two of them.
I'm sure. Thank you, baby, for outing my disinterest in you in church, and I was soundly rebuked in public for not. So that to me is a balance, right? Like, no, only your wife, and then don't go on these giant binges of spirituality where I'm too spiritual to have sex. Paul's like, that's ridiculous. You're stupid. If it's like that, then don't get married. Then Paul said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's. But of course, the Christian worldview is extremely ancient, and so it gives you time over time to refine certain ideas. So that's one of the advantages of having a pretty old religion. But so I get what he's doing here. It's like that feminine energy and the sexual undertones, and then. But at the same time, I think that this is a nod to just women as a whole, in the sense of, that you know, the hat tip toward that energy and the validation of it. I think it's important.
Interesting.
So.
But at face value, you wouldn't think that.
Well, I think you would.
The language that's used, like.
Well, I don't know. If I was a female Behemoth fan, I would look at all of this as positive, because if you enter into his world, the way that he phrases things, like everything is upside down. So and I think Behemoth fans are already aware of that. So I think a diehard female Behemoth fan would look at this all as positive.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, it's only the enemies that call her sacrilegious and this and this and that.
And then she casts them out.
Right, seduct. So, there you go. What did you get the song?
7.
I think it was an 8.5. It wasn't necessarily their strongest song, I don't think. But it was decent. It was decent. But shout out to Chris and Rachel, the Village Magulch. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Take a lot of pictures. Then out.
Sorry out.
Gone.
Just the end is out. I'm the spawn of him for the obsolete.